After the Bucks were surprisingly eliminated, surprised by some, or for some, in the second round, despite having the NBA's best record. All eyes obviously on Giannis, the MVP, the DPOY, and his future as well. He's got a year to go on his deal. But some wondered about what might happen with head coach Mike Bud. Is Bud in trouble? I got nothing but Bud for you. We got love for Bud. Although yesterday, Shams reported that Bud's job is safe. He's 116-30. I didn't even know that you really had to have that as a report. I just assumed that it was safe, but he did have the report, right, Teak?
No, I mean, why? It was odd. Of course it's safe.
I thought so, too. An unnecessary confirmation, basically, is what I mean. 116-39, 2 years in Milwaukee, and he's got 2 years to go on his deal. So, Bud is the right coach for the Bucks and Giannis to get over the hump, in or out.
Yeah, I think this is in bounds, BT. I think he is the right coach. I think he's smart. He's innovative. Remember that Falcons team? I mean, that Hawks team that he took to the playoffs?
That's right.
It's like, who the hell is on that squad?
Yeah.
Other than Kyle Korver.
Yeah, they had 5 All-Stars that year, right? Horford,
right.
Korver.
That's right.
Schroeder, maybe. Yeah, I remember it well. Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
But they overachieved. So I think he is the right coach. He's a good schemer. He's smart with how he handles and deploys his players. I think, as we've talked about many times, really every time we talk about the Bucks, they don't have enough talent around Giannis to be championship viable right now.
Boom. And that's the key aspect. Tiki nailed it. Inbounds. I mean, Budenholzer can coach my team any day of the week.
Yep.
There's not that many teams that rate highly both offensive and defensive efficiency, and Bud is one of those guys whose teams historically do.
Yep.
But it's beyond Bud. He's not the GM. He's not the owner. So there's luxury tax thresholds, and Malcolm Brogdon, he should still be on the team, but he's not, and I think we know why. It ain't Bud. It's some other stuff. And Giannis has to tweak a few aspects to his game. But Bud's an elite coach. I think most people that love basketball would agree with that assertion. Mookie Betts, great player as we know. Won the MVP back in 2018 with Boston, primarily in the outfield. But he did play one game at second base that year and another 14 at second in 2014. So he's got some positional versatility. Now, at the Dodgers, he started at second base last night against the D-backs as the team hopes to give him some reps as an emergency infielder in October. Now, part of the reason you want to do this is they got a stacked outfield. Peterson hits bombs. Obviously, Bellinger's great, but Peterson doesn't play all the time. Neither does A.J. Pollock when he's healthy. He's really good. Enrique Hernandez, etc. Betts, the second baseman, Gavin Lux, is hitting just $190 here. So the question is, Betts would be more valuable to the Dodgers as their full-time second baseman, in or out?
I never thought about this until this question came up, because I knew that they were loaded in the outfield, and I know that at some point that becomes financially tentative, or at least treacherous, with all those big bats that they have in the outfield. And Mookie Betts' athleticism is such a great asset, roaming the outfield. But give it... I'm going to say out of bounds.
Out of bounds.
I'm going to say out of bounds, but I could easily flip this one because I do think he's the best athlete. And when you have an elite athlete like him, you put him where he can cover the most ground and make the most big plays. That'll be in the outfield, not at second base.
I think that I'm with you here. Well,
it's a hard one, though, man. Because how do you get these other guys in the lineup consistently?
That's a problem. But I'm also trying to measure the life of his career.
Yeah.
And do you get a little on the back end if you're playing second base? You can make the case second base is more taxing, more arduous. Guys coming in, I know it's not the 70s, guys coming in with spikes high, but breaking up double plays, a little more movement, etc. I'm going to say out of bounds for now. Out of bounds for now because he's one of the top 2 or 3 defensive outfielders in all the baseball. There's no guarantee he's one of the top 2 or 3 defensive second basemen right away. Matter of fact, he wouldn't be. So why weaken one aspect? You actually would conceivably weaken 2.
Yes.
So I'm going to keep him there. It's good to know that he can play there in a pinch, but I agree. I'm going to say out of bounds. The NFL has done enough to prove they're committed to impacting change. Teak?
I'm going to say out of bounds of that, BT. Yes, I know that what is it, 250 million, maybe it's 300 million.
I think it's
300 million that they've donated over a decade. It's 30 million per year, which is less than $1 million per team. The money is immaterial, though, BT. It's the impact that billionaires, that is the owners, can have legislatively. If they want to have change, they can create change because of the connections that they have in their respective communities. So I think they are doing a decent job. I can't say they've done a great job.
I believe that the NFL has completely changed their how they view this, and more importantly, what they're doing about it. So I disagree. I think that they're starting to prove that they are beginning to put their money and their actions where their sentiments are, something nobody could really say a couple of years ago. I mean, listen, certainly the Dolphins' right to do that, and I do think it was smart, rather than staying there for one of the anthems, then you have the whole, is it a black-white thing, is it a left-right thing, and they said that in the video. They stayed in for both, which I thought was probably pretty smart to preemptively take away any unnecessary burden or distraction from what they're trying to do. But listen, the first time they really spoke with authority to Roger Goodell responded within a day. I mean, and I know that maybe that's their description of hollow action when, remember, he looked into the camera and he said what they asked him to say, what they demanded that he said.
Yep.
This feels like a completely different NFL. You honor the flag how you're going to honor the flag, and it is what it is at this point for sure. But I think it's a little, not unfair, maybe partially unfair. That video would have been better, would have been more accurate a couple of years ago. It doesn't feel as accurate right now. I feel like the NFL is really trying and putting money and putting energy and putting effort and putting manpower behind change.
Let me just caution with one statement.
Good.
The National Football League, that is Roger Goodell, is not the ownership of the 32 teams.
I got it.
Because Roger Goodell is saying the right things and seemingly doing the right things. I think he is doing the right things. He's a good man, and he always has been. Doesn't mean that the owners are using all of their power to do what they can.
Gotcha. Listen, I was a little surprised. That's actually 3 minutes. We condensed it down to a minute to get some of the more poignant aspects of it. I mean, it's 3 minutes of fire. I mean, it's
Brian Flores is the last voice.
He's the last voice, the head coach, there's no doubt. But seeing, or at least, unless I'm completely naive, but seeing the reaction of the NFL, that did not feel fully accurate. It felt, I'm being honest, as a bit of a misrepresentation of what the NFL is now trying to do, something they never did. Well, that's fine.
I disagree wholly.
Okay.
Because Roger Goodell saying and doing and getting $300 million over 10 years, just $30 million a year, which is not a lot of money relative to the amount of the net wealth of the individuals who own this league. Not that run this league, that own this league. We haven't seen Jerry Jones or any of the other owners, whether it's John Mara or Stan Kroenke, do anything that has generated headlines reaching out to local and state officials or national officials relative to this issue as it pertains to their players. So maybe they are behind the scenes. We haven't seen it.
Okay.
That's all that the Dolphins are saying.
Okay. We see it a little differently. I got you. Serena, the great Serena Williams, ousted from the U.S. Open semifinals last night. She lost 1-6, 6-3, 6-3. She's got 23 Grand Slam titles, one shy of the record 24, which is held by Margaret Court. Now, since she won the 2017 Australian Open, the 38-year-old Williams missed 4 majors due to the birth of her first child, lost in the finals 4 times, the semis once, and the quarters once as well. Whether or not she ever wins another slam, Williams is the best female tennis player that we've ever seen. This is so easy.
Yeah, this is in bounds. I mean,
of course.
Court. I'm trying to. She was playing. She was winning Grand Slams in the 60s, and I think her last one was in the 70s. I think it was 1970. So it was a different era of tennis. The athleticism was different. The challenges were different. This is not even a question. Serena is the best tennis player, maybe male or female, that we've ever seen.
It's not even close, man. I mean, this is probably one of the worst inbounds, out-of-bounds questions we've ever had. Don't take it personally, Mike, but
it's not debatable.
It's not debatable. It's not, unless you just want to be completely contrived and a contrarian. You know what this is like? And this is no disrespect towards somebody like Bob Cousy, but that's like saying, Bob Cousy was the greatest guard of all time before you saw players like Isaiah Thomas and other, obviously John, not just black players, but John Stockton as well.
Yep.
Magic Johnson, of course. Come on, Margaret Court, you're right, he played in the 60s. The rackets were different, the game was different, the speed was different. Williams is the best, and it's not even close.
Tune in next time for another edition of Inbounds or Out of Bounds with Tiki and Tierney.